Is the 2025 A-Level H2 Math Paper 1 really the easiest ever? So easy that you have to worry about the bell curve, so easy that you need above 85% in order to score an A. Because during the recent A-level results, everybody was on Reddit SG exams complaining, and so I wanted to investigate. Was it really that easy? For example, this comment, "I'm so worried for math guys, I felt like the paper was quite doable but I made so many careless mistakes. I calculated around 80 to 85 for paper 1 and so many people found it easy. I think the A grade is going to be hard to reach this year." And he was supported by Relative Coyote. What do you think is the bell curve for this paper? Is it usually around 85 or will it be higher now since the paper was relatively easier compared to other years? Very worrying, huh? And of course, there were people who tried to ease his nerves. For example, Quick Figure 4549. Not going to lie, the comments are all BS. Bell curve will not go up that far. At most, it will be 75, a few marks only, not a whole 15 to 20% jump. I quite agree with him actually. I support all these people talking about how the bell curve doesn't exist and all that, and even if there was moderation, not too much. Until this guy, Embarrassed Soy 521. This guy has always been good at math, and then he even scored a B for his prelims in his H2 math. So he grinded his off for A levels, even wrote his answers for both papers, and even compared with the tuition center answers, and he was dead confident that he scored more than 80% for both papers. But then he figured 80% should be enough to score an A. After all, his math was never a concern. But to his horror, when I opened my result slip, I saw that I scored a B, and then the nail in the coffin that made me want to do this challenge. He even deducted marks for every question that he got wrong, did not award himself any method marks at all. He still expected a solid 75-ish. Come results day, I opened the SGC and BAM! Sorry. A big fat C. So we can see what the problem is right now. Was the 2025 H2 math paper so easy that even though there was no bell curve, the moderation pushed the A grade to somewhere beyond most of your reach? And therefore, just the other day, with less than 24 hours to go, I took it upon myself to challenge myself to take on the easiest A-level H2 math paper ever as a tutor. I am doing this because I also want to find out just how easy the H2 math paper 1 was and what would be a fair grading by my standard as to what is required to score an A, a B, and a C. And most importantly, for all of you students, this is for you to find out what a tutor thought about last year's paper, not by just critiquing it, but actually take the hot seat and try the paper under time condition. Sounds exciting, right? And of course, by the end of this video, you will find out just how many of my students scored a distinction in the 2025 A-level for H2 math. And also, you will get to witness me doing the paper for the full 3 hours. No cuts, no edits. What you see is what you get. And then at the end of it, I will give you my feedback and then the conclusion of it. Would it be fair to you? Is it really true that you need more than 90% to score an A? At least from my perspective. So today, we are going on a mission. I am going to do the 2025 A-level H2 math paper 1. I'm going to try them under time condition. Not only that, I'm going to do it tomorrow at 8 AM and the time now is 4 PM. In other words, I'm going to sit for an exam in less than 24 hours. What am I doing? But first, I need the exam paper. Now obviously last year my students did scan the question paper for me and many have shared the soft copy online as well. However, look at what I found online. Scribblings and possibly answers. I am not going to cheat. As much as I have seen the question paper, it was 4 months ago. As much as I have impression of what the parametric equation looks like, I don't think I remember the answer. I don't think I remember how to solve the question. Ultimately, I only browsed through it. And therefore, because my exam is in less than 24 hours, I have to get my exam paper. But the problem is... Babe, where's my 10-year series?
You have, man.
Can't believe I'm doing this, but just look at the rain. Look at that. Okay, so if you look at the time right now, let me try to disable the face tracking. Okay, if you look at the time right now, can you see? It's 4:10. So I'm making my way to next popular bookstore to go and get the 10-year series. I think I'm getting both the math and the chemistry one because for the math, you got the new syllabus. Maybe I should have gotten it last year. For chemistry, I'm definitely getting it because last year was the last time of using the old syllabus. So So it will be a good collection of the 2 syllabus in the past 10 years. And the rain doesn't seem to be letting up, so I hope this will not spoil my girlfriend's camera. I'll see you soon. Alright, I'm here at Popular. I see a 10 series on my right. Doesn't look like they have it ready though. From afar, it looks like they have all the O levels one, but not the A levels one. Not exactly sure why I braved the rain to be here and then yet they don't have it. Got my 210 series. I thought that it's not available. Luckily I asked someone, turns out it's at the back. So the A levels one is a different league altogether. There's very little shelf space available for it. So if you can't find it at your Popular bookstore, ask again, it's probably hidden somewhere. And I decided to get this too. I'll explain why when I get home, because it's rather awkward for me to talk here in front of everybody. So see you around, gotta make payment. Alright, I got my books. Okay, time now is 4:45. Gonna make my way back. I'll see you guys at home. I'm back. Wouldn't believe what just happened. But anyway, it's 2nd March, 5:02 PM right now. I'm home with all the 10-year series. So as promised, I decided to buy both the math and the chemistry one. You can see it right here. This is the chemistry 10-year series. It's pretty thick and it's wrapped up. I think I can see why, because I think a lot of people will just scan along the answers and then just disappear with it. Wouldn't buy it. Me. And the next thing is the 10-year series for the math one. Now this math, you realize the version is very different from the other. Actually, it's a different publisher. This is from Singapore Asia Education. The other one is from SL Education. Not going to lie, this cover looks a lot better. But why did I get this? Is this 10-year series itself, you can see they actually did not include much of a writing space for you. It's like the one I used to have in secondary school or even in A levels as well, where just 2-3 pages of questions and then you just write it on a foolscap paper. I think I'm more used to that. And of course, it comes with the answers as well. Obviously, because you save so much paper, it's cheaper. It's only $8.95. So definitely, this will be what I'll be using tomorrow. I have not actually looked through the question in detail. Obviously, last year when my students shared with me the question paper, I just browsed through it. I did remember one parametric equation having a really weird shape, but I didn't look at the questions in detail. And I think tomorrow will be a fair test and a fair assessment of what I thought the paper would be, given that I'll be seated like you in a classroom for 3 hours and trying this paper. Obviously, this camera will be here recording the whole process, time-lapse, so that you know I haven't been doing anything sneaky. I think more or less everything is ready. And obviously, if you want to know the cost, this in total cost me $2.85. But then I have some discount. No, I didn't have any discount. I thought members supposed to have discount. I think they just removed it already. Probably just added to the points instead of just giving you straight discount. 28.55 with a GST count and whatnot. So I even got the next reward as well. But the game plan for tomorrow is this. I'll be taking the paper as if I'm a student, meaning I'll be up and about by 8 AM ready to sit down at the table doing the question paper. And more importantly, it'll be timed. 3 hours, calculator, no answer sheet. All I have is my brain and a bit of experience more than the rest of you. Not sure how this will turn out. Obviously, if you like my content, remember to like, share and subscribe to both my TikTok and my YouTube so that you'll be updated on the latest video that I put out. Quite excited, and I guess I'll see you tomorrow morning. Alright, morning. As you can see, it's barely 6:34 in the morning on 3rd March. My paper is in 1.5 hours and less. But I'm still going to go work out first, have my breakfast, shower, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so now we're outside. It's about 6:40. going to start my workout. So this workout is basically 8 sets of 8 exercises. It was actually something I found online many years ago, I think 2000, even 12. If some of you might know, Mike Chang from Six Pack Shortcuts. So the 8 exercises, I'm going to put it up on the screen and you're going to see me do it. Probably just going to cut off the video after that one set so I can focus on the exercise. So let's get it, guys. And that is my first set. So 7 more sets to go, and then shower, breakfast, and then I'll see you back in my classroom. Okay, just finished my workout. Time now, 7:13. 15 minutes to shower and eat. Hopefully I got half an hour to set up on my paper, calculator, MF27. Cause this is going to be like a real exam for me. See you in a while. Time now, 7:51, 3rd March. I think I got everything I need. Foolscap pad, I got 2 in fact just in case. I got more than enough things to write. MF27, actually this is MF26, the older version, but you know, I don't think it makes a difference. Laminated, great. Do it for yourself as well. And then you have the 10-year series. Obviously I'm just going to flip to the 2025 paper and then we're going to start doing. And then another foolscap pad. And most importantly, this is for all A-level students. Before your exam, charge your GC. Now, I didn't charge mine. Should have enough. And then obviously pen, pencil, and a black pen. So to be frank, it's been many years since I've last written on paper. Most of the time I just use my whiteboard to teach, obviously. Even for one-to-one, that's more than a few years ago before when I used to write on paper. There's a camera down here, not sure if you can see it, I'll show you in a while. But this camera is for me to record the whole process, the whole 2 to 3 hours where you can see me just doing it, and I'll probably use it as a fast forward and then speak to the camera when it's time for me to say something or if I have any comments. And I think probably I'll upload the raw video of just the 2 hours of me just doing work over here if you like to study with me, so you can view it as me being a study buddy. Right now, again, time is 7:52. There are still some time, so I probably will just sit around and wait for 8 o'clock to come. Alright, show you the setup. This is my usual classroom. You can see all the stuff are here already. I just messed it up by showing you. And there's a camera that you'll be seeing me from. I don't think I'll be recording using this pocket for the entire 3 hours. Not enough memory. Quick room tour. This is my classroom. Nothing too fancy. Mainly to put my clothes. Yeah, and me up there. So again, let's just wait for time to start. I'll probably set up the other camera. See you 3 hours later. 7:58. So candidates, get ready. 2 more minutes till I start. So again, this is my phone for the raw video of me doing the work. Hands are a bit wet from, not hands wet, from going to the restroom. Oh, feels like a real exam, doesn't it? My Osmo Pocket is there. I'll probably on it at some point if I want to say something, but I try to make it as much as exam condition as possible. So you all can see what it's like for me to take an exam as a tutor today. Okay, 2 more minutes, let's just wait. Okay, last minute. It's 9:59. Time now is 8 o'clock. Candidates, you may start. Candidates, you may start your paper. Alright, so have some impression of the paper, but didn't look at it in detail. These are the answers. We don't need that right now. Probably have to check it later, and hopefully I get everything correct. So here's a question paper. Well, generally for me, I don't like to do sequence and series first. I don't think I'll be starting with question 1 and 2. On the surface, it looks okay. I don't think there's anything too special. 9, 10, 11 functions. Okay, a lot of complex numbers. Okay, so just like when I was a student, I don't think I'll start with sequence and series, which is question 1 and 2. So let's start with question 3. Let's go. Almost made a careless mistake there. Okay, it's 5 minutes. I don't think I want to check anymore. I think I got it. Okay, all my answers wrote quite a lot of explanation. I think I wasted some time here and there, but I think I should be good. If I make any mistakes, there should be only careless mistakes. So yes, let's look at the time. This is 10:55. I think that's enough. I don't think I want to do anymore. I'm very tired as well. So I'll probably mark the answer. I'll probably give a rundown on the whole small pocket as well. Alright, so you guys know. Okay, the time now, 10:58. I took a 2 minutes break to go and check my phone. You can see right here, and it is still 3rd March. Okay, just finished the paper, the whole set. Right here, should have really just done one question for one piece of paper, because now it's very hard for me to arrange everything. Thoughts about the paper after I just finished. To me, it's quite a tedious paper. Maybe it comes down to me not having practiced as much as the JC2s, because ultimately when you're a JC2, you'll be spamming a lot of brilliant papers, you're gonna see a lot of patterns. You probably don't have to think too much for some of the questions. For example, question 12, the complex numbers question. At this part of the year, I don't really teach complex numbers, so I realized I've forgotten what's the most efficient way to do it. Then I only realized after a while, you don't even need to use the second root. You can just do an expansion of one of the equation to compare a real and imaginary component. Apart from that, some questions were odd. For example, question 7, I felt that, not sure why my method didn't work out, but once I changed to using the result in part A, everything just came into place. I'll probably think about why later on. Moving on, I think some of the questions here were very easy. I think the question started relatively easy. Question 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think there's too much to hold you back. And there's a very classic question 5, which is your typical inequalities with modulus integration. Moving on to question 6, rather simple. Question 7, just spoke about it. Question 8, also rather simple. Not something that you would expect from an A-level paper, given what you have seen for vectors in the past few years. This feels more of a vectors question in my time, where there's no application. And to be frank, if you just memorize a lot of the ways of solving a vector question, having some framework, this is an easy, 9 marks? Shouldn't be an issue. Moving on to question 9, it got a bit tedious, and I had to second guess myself a bit in terms of the implicit differentiation part. But due to a lack of time, I just went with my instinct and just run with it. Hopefully I didn't make any careless mistakes. And that's the theme behind this entire paper, going through all the way to question 12, is that my only concern is not that I don't know how to do the question. It's more of, would I make any careless mistakes and would I tire myself out? Throughout the whole process, I did feel fatigued, I did feel exhausted, and I had to pull myself through. Again, could be because I don't practice enough, maybe I'm just rusty. But for most of you, I don't see most of the questions being an issue to you. None of these questions should be a blank. But I do realize that there will be questions that you think you would have gotten it correct, but most likely you are mistaken. And clearest demonstration of that is question 11. I think it's trickier than you realize. In fact, this is my favorite question. I'll probably use it some other time. Of course, there are insights in there, but not the level that you expect to see in an A-level question. Because every year, if you have done your 10-year series, A-level tends to come up with creative questions that even your schools may not have predicted or set similar to. Question 11 is quite close to that, but TJ already broken that in 2020. And a similar question to this was like, I think 2021, in terms of how I solve for the maximum value of A. And then for question 9, the Maclaurins, I quite like it. They ask you to use your answer in part B. So again, a lot of these questions, if you use the previous part, you realize that it breaks down quite easily and you can solve it rather quickly. And as with all A-level papers, there is a level of wittiness required of you in this paper. And again, you see that in question 9, question 11, question 10 maybe is too common already. Hwa Chong students who have done it 1,000 times. And maybe question 7. So if I have to give a quick rating for this in terms of my 3 matrices, I think relevance wise, rather average. I don't see too much of the new syllabus coming into play, but I do see some parts of it. For example, question 1, question 3, your complex numbers. So maybe a 7 out of 10. Insightfulness. Would there be a lot for you to learn from this paper? No. But would there be unique learning points? That is always the case in A-levels. In this year's 2025, it feels watered down, and therefore the insightfulness, nothing too spectacular. 6.5 out of 10. Difficulty, not difficult at all, but it is tiring. And putting everything together in terms of the fatigue, in terms of having to have stamina for this paper, I think easily the difficulty of this paper is rather fair. Challenging for some of you maybe, but still fair. 5 out of 10. Overall score, do I like this paper? It's a meh kind of feeling. It's a rather average, maybe below average. Compared to other years, I think this is really watered down. And differential equation is another example of demonstrating that. I will give the overall score of this paper a slightly below average, 4 out of 10. And this is the part that you're all waiting for. Expectation to score an A. If this was a brilliant paper, I think 85% would be fair, but then because it's an A-level paper where most of you should be prepared and most of you have done more than enough practices. And if you reread it, if you ask my students, if you ask the students who are already above average, they would have easily told you that this paper could have been a 90+% for them, and so many of them claim that. So for the expectation, I'm going to do it in a different way. I'm going to tell you the questions where I can forgive you for making a mistake in, and that will be question 5, maybe you can lose 2 marks. Question 9, maybe you can lose 4 marks. 4 marks, yeah, I think 4 marks. So 2 marks, 4 marks will be 6 marks. Question 10, definitely no issue. But for question 11, this is a rather tedious one. Let me count the total marks. I think in the part A and B, most of you should be able to get it, but from C onwards, it could be a problem. So let's just say that C, you totally didn't get it. So minus another 6. Then complex numbers, maybe just minus 1. So this would be 12, 13. So again, it's close to what I expected if this was a brilliant paper, about 85%. So I think most of you should be able to score 85%, and if most of you can score 85%, that would simply mean that it's an average, isn't it? No bell curve, according to Parliament records, but there's moderation. How they moderate, we don't know. But if everybody scores 85%, I think most of you will fall within the B range just by scoring 85%. And therefore, for you to score an A, I would think more than 90%. For a C, I don't want to be too harsh, but I think if I was the examiner and having to set the moderation or the breakdown of what the A and B and C's would be, I think C students will be about 70% and below, and then D will be 60 and below. Again, let me break it down for you. For me to give a student an A, 90%. For me to give a student a B, 85%. For me to give a student a C, 70% and below. For students who I think deserve a D, will be 60% and below. So again, if you're not sure, you can see my grades breakdown for this. I haven't marked the paper. Maybe I'll slap myself in the face. Maybe I make so many mistakes. This is what I have for you. I'll mark the paper later and then I'll do another video talking about it. Alright, so I'll see you soon. Quick pause. I have a special announcement for the JC1, JC2 and the Sec4 students. I will be running a free trial class during the March holidays for the JC1 and the Sec4s in H2 Math and Chemistry. Now that school has started, some of you are already struggling to catch up, and you look at what you've seen on Reddit, a lot of people are struggling. And if you're looking to attend tuition that is not a chore, we get to listen to stories and therefore help you understand better about many concepts and how they came about, so that when you go to the exam hall, you do not second guess yourself and you're fully confident in your H2 Math and H2 Chem even if the paper was the easiest ever, scan this QR code, contact me, and I'll see you there. Now, back to the video. And in case I forget, let me just record this first. These are the students that I've taken in last year for H2 Math, and these are their results. 100% distinction in the 2025 A-Level H2 Math exam. Time to mark the paper. Time now, 10:30. 3rd March. So I promised I will mark this paper in the afternoon, but then I had a lot of string of classes today. To be honest, after my last class at night, I just took a 20-minute nap. This waking up at 6:30 is difficult, and taking an exam at 8 AM for 3 hours is difficult. I know you've been through that, I've been through that, so props to you for even taking the A-levels to begin with. So this is the moment of truth. What I'm going to do is, using my webcam, I'm going to film the whole process of me marking, and then after that, I'm going to share with you my thoughts, and most importantly, what's my score, and whether my expectation will adjust accordingly. Let's get started. And we have finally calculated my score, and my score is, drum roll please. I'm trying to press it on the GC so I can show you. Right here. 88%. Yay! Okay, so by the standards of what they are saying on Reddit, to score above 90% in order to score A, maybe I would have gotten a B. Marking through the paper felt somewhat ugly for me. Let's talk about the positives first. The things I expected to get correct, I did get them correct. Question 6, 7, 8, 9 McLaurins I was very proud of, and 11. The most important question in this paper for me, if I was a student, to know that I can score an A, is question 9, 11. In fact, 11 is the only anchor question. The rest of it is more or less typical, and for question 9, if you compare it to your 10-year series answer, I think it's very weak compared to what I have written. For me, the biggest pain point of where I lost my marks that I felt was undeserving. Question 4, part B. I don't know why my second derivative, I just can't seem to get 0.421 or 4.21. But ultimately my conclusion is the same, so I still get that 1 or 2 marks after getting the second derivative. Must have been some calculation mistake here and there. And I knew this was going to be the area where I'll make a mistake, because when I was going through the question, it was supposed to be an A math question, but I tried too hard, tried to do the A level way, and it cost me the marks because I was losing myself in the calculation. Big mistake. Like I tell my students, if it's an O level question, go for it. I should have just stuck to the O level one. And the other mistake that I cannot really forgive myself for is a lot of the careless mistakes. And this is very apparent in question 5B, where I missed out one of the negative sign, I believe. I think I circled it in my answer sheet. And the biggest pain for me that I felt I really shouldn't have lost the marks was question 12. If you look at my complex numbers working, when I was solving for P and Q using the roots, as always, like I tell my students, algebra is the reason for my downfall and I don't want it to be yours. And you can see why a lot of expansion, I missed out on the -10, and that affected my answer a lot. Maybe it was intentionally set by the A levels, because usually when you're missing one number and you calculate for the final answer of P and Q, you should get a fraction. But I didn't get a fraction, so there was no red flag for me. I just moved on anyway. But the good news is that it doesn't affect the rest of my answer. So in the 6 marks, I lost like 3 marks. 1 for solving and 2 for the final answer. That hurt. But to me, the most interesting question here that I felt I deserved to lose 100% of the marks was question 10B. Describe a sequence of 3 transformations transforming from y equals to fx into 1 over x. I read it as the reverse. That's why my answer would seem like the reverse of the transformation, which is perfectly true. So in other words, I do understand the concept, but the thing is, I misread the question. And maybe this comes down to the fact that I was doing this towards the end of the paper. And this is a good lesson to learn for most students. Really read the question very, very carefully. And this is another part that I really felt the ache when I lost the entire 4 marks. So, how do you feel about my score of 88%? Could you achieve the same? Let me know in the comments. So all in all, has my opinion of the paper changed? Maybe I'll bump up the difficulty a bit in terms of being a bit sneaky, and that came in the functions question, and mistake will come down to calculation rather than conceptual. So just make sure to miss out any negative sign. And for me, I didn't really have the time to check. I was exhausted by the length of the paper. Lack of exam practice. You need that. Do your prelim papers, do your 10-year series under time condition. Very, very important. Proven here. The difficulty will be bumped up to a 5.5 for the fatigue. Insightfulness, Small traps here and there, but I don't think it will change the insights too much. Still about 7, 7.5 kind of thing. So do I feel that it is possible to score 100% for this paper? I think so, especially for students who have done a lot of practices, a lot of revision, where you are very sharp and you're very attentive. That 100% for this paper is not an issue. And as you can see in this paper, all the mistakes I ever made was down to calculation, down to careless mistakes. Nothing conceptual, and I expect that out of my students as well. Again, full transparency, 88%. Is that good enough for you? And the question on your mind is this the easiest A-level H2 math paper out there? Quite possibly so. Now the questions here would seem to stump you. Most of you should be able to breeze through this paper, and your only concern is whether you lose marks in the small things like I did. Hopefully you're not like me. Hopefully you're better than me. And before I go, for full transparency, my answer sheet, whatever I written down on my question paper, will be uploaded onto my blog. The download link will be available in the video description, so you can have a look at my mistakes, or you can have a look at my working and decide whether my answers will work for you or not. And also, if you like this series, you like me to try another 10-year series under a time condition, whether it's for a H2 math paper or H2 chemistry paper, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe so that you'll be informed of my latest video where I put out content that will be useful for your A-level preparation. This was a lot of fun, but very tiring. Nothing else. This is Yao from Vantage Tutor, a class above the rest. Take care.